Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, what life was like in the industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight on the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we will be discussing the Congregation Beth Israel and the Beth Israel Cemetery, located in Springfield and West Springfield. So tell us about the history of the Temple of Beth Israel in Springfield.
All right, this Jewish congregation started meeting again in the north end of Springfield, like most Jewish congregations did, and that was in the year 1892. So they were one of the first ones. Now, it wouldn't stay there for an incredibly long time, but it did build a synagogue for itself. It's usually called Grays Avenue Shul. And again, that started in 1892. But about 3 decades later, in 1923, they had grown to large enough stature such that they can build up their second location. And that temple was built at 565 Chester Street in Springfield. Right, and they would stay there again for a very long time. And what we're going to talk about is what has become of them today, because they're not around anymore. And we're also going to talk about the cemetery that had for itself in West Springfield, and about some of its very special features.
So what has become of the Congregation Beth Israel?
Okay, so like a lot of synagogues in Springfield, they started to lose people, and some of the synagogues had moved out to Long Meadow or near the Long Meadow line. And Beth Israel at some point couldn't keep up. And what happened was that in the year 2007, Beth Israel, Kesser Israel, and Kodomo all decided to merge together under a new congregation called Congregation B'nai Torah. And that they would be at the temple that was on 2 Units Drive. And at that point, they ceased to exist. So they did exist for a very long time, from 1892 to 2007. Right, now that merged congregation is adjacent to the Springfield Jewish Community Center, which is on this Long Meadow Springfield border. So in some sense, if you count this as being the same congregation, they're in a great place to be. Now, their former temple has also, well, it is now used by another congregation, and that happens to be an Hispanic Pentecostal church nowadays. So it's still there at least, and it's, at least the congregation in some form still exists.
And real quick, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, for more information or to sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214 and his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, tell us about the Beth Israel Cemetery in West Springfield.
This cemetery was owned by the Temple of Beth Israel. So any member of the congregation Beth Israel would be buried out in West Springfield, even though their temple was always in Springfield. And this cemetery probably came around very early on, probably sometime in the late 1890s, soon after the temple had been founded. and has a special feature to it I'm going to talk about next question. But when you go there, you see some old burials towards the back of the first row. The rows of the gravestones are parallel to the cemetery's main road going in. So it's easy to find out a lot quickly because you're looking at dates and things. And you can see some of the years are late 1890s in the back. Now, they don't have an outdoor temple, but Bethel Cemetery, which is just a spot nearby, has an outdoor temple. And so that would have been available to the Beth Israel Cemetery also for its use.
And tell us about its baby section.
All right, now, almost every Jewish cemetery is going to have a baby section, a section where young children can be buried in a smaller grave plot. Also, any stillborn in Jewish religion has to be buried towards the front back, usually towards the front right. And that's probably also true here, but it's very hard to find because there's no stones. So there's 5 obvious gravestones in this baby section at Bethel Cemetery. One of them is Irvin Kinsler, only 4 years old when he died. He died 12th of October 1910, and when he died, he was buried in this cemetery. So this cemetery and the congregation itself are very interesting, and I hope you learn more about it. There's a video available for both the temple and the cemetery itself too. Thank you.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And of course, we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And check out a large selection of our other podcasts at his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you, and hope you join us again.